This podcast is brought to you by sleepyj.com/beats. If you need a beat for your next album, mixtape, or demo project, check out sleepyj.com/beats. That's SLEEPEJ.com/beats. Warning, this podcast may offend some people unintentionally. So if you get offended easily, you are advised to turn off now. And if you're still here listening, thanks and enjoy the show. What's up with it, world? It's your boy CBJ. You tuned into Sleep Talking podcast. This is episode 41, guys. It has been quite of a journey. If you guys are watching me on YouTube, I appreciate you guys. Please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you're watching me on YouTube. If you're listening to me on the podcast streaming platforms, I appreciate you guys doing that too. Man, it is very bright. I got some new lights in my studio, so I am going to have a hard time trying to catch the right lighting. I don't know if you guys noticed, my lighting isn't always the same whenever I'm doing this. I'm trying to find the right formula to what's going to work out best for me, but these lights are a lot brighter than what they used to be, so hopefully I can get the right fixture on the editing for that. But nonetheless, guys, it is a new week. Episode 41. It has been quite a journey. It has been fun. I got a lot of things I want to talk about this week, but before I get into all the stuff, let me tell you about my personal updates. I will be going down to Dallas, Texas this weekend. I don't know if I'm going to be able to get an episode done for you guys this weekend. I'm going to try, but I'm not going to make any promises. So if I do an episode next week, it's either going to be late or it won't happen. It's just going to be, I might miss a week. I'm sorry if I do, but I'm giving you a heads up now. I'm not trying to miss. I love doing these, but I'm not really sure what my trip to Dallas is going to entail. If I'm going to have time to sit down and do an episode for you guys. If I can, I will. If I can't, I apologize for that. But if I do, maybe I can get my cousin Rudy to, step in, do the podcast with me one more time, or maybe I'll get X to do it. I don't know what we'll talk about. We'll see what happens between here and there. But, yeah, I'm going to be down in Dallas this weekend. It is my wife's birthday, so we're going to go out there because we're planning on moving this year. We're going to start looking for places. Obviously, if you don't know, I'm applying for places, trying to find something that is hiring. I'm trying to stay into the audio field, mixing and recording field is what I'm trying to stay in, but we'll see how that works out. We all know that when we're dealing with this type of an industry, you don't really know what you're going to get, how you're going to be able to do. So I got that going on this weekend. Also, just so you guys know, I have been working on a lot of content, a lot of music. If you guys don't know, I make beats. Go to sleepyj.com/beats if you're looking for beats for your project, for your YouTube, for mixtapes, whatever it is that you think you might need music for. I make beats. That's what I do. I've been making a lot of beats, throwing them into the store so that way you guys can get them there. On top of that, I am getting ready to release, well, I'm not getting ready to, I'm working on it still, but my first beat tape. I wanted to do an R&B beat tape. I've never done a beat tape. I've only done mixtapes and albums and things like that. So for me to do a beat tape is something new to me, but I've been hearing in the producer community, beat tapes is a good thing to do. Apparently people in college like to listen to beats whenever they're working on music, and I figure if you're going to be listening to it, well, you don't want to get too amped up, just something like kind of calm. So a nice R&B beat tape might be what you guys are looking for. So I'm going to put about 10 tracks together for the beat tape, R&B. I haven't decided on the title for it. I'm considering calling it, I'm thinking like, I don't know, Late Night Creep or, what is it? I was thinking Late Night Creepin' or just Late Nights in general. Well, not in general. The title will be either Late Nights or Late Night Creepin'. That's the title for my beat tape, my R&B beat tape that I'm working on. Unless something better comes along with unless a better title comes along for me, that's what I'm thinking about. I got about 5 tracks ready for that. Once I get 10 tracks, I'm gonna mix them, master them, do all that stuff, package it up real nice, and then I'll throw that one out. Also, I've been slowly piecing this album together. If you guys haven't been following me for a while, I've been talking about my Overslept project for a while, but it is slowly coming together. I'm about 4 tracks in. I've got hooks, I got verses. I'm about four tracks in right now, so I'm excited about that because I've been working on all these beats, and then I'm like, oh, I like this. Write a little hook to it. Or if I find a hook for it, then I'm keeping it. I'm still probably going to sell it too for leasing purposes, but I got ideas that I'm working on. Also, I have another project that I got a couple other projects that I'm working on. If you guys don't know, I'm thinking about doing an album where I'm just featuring pretty much like a Dr. Dre album where like I'm really not on it. I'm just like recording all the artists that I know, a lot of friends, throwing them on one project, recording it, putting it out. I have a title for it. I'm not going to say it now because I haven't even started working on it. It's still a concept. I've been talking to my friends that are rappers and singers. They're willing to do it. I still just got to put it together as far as for beats, what I want to use and things like that. So that'll be coming out this year. So I got 3 projects. They're coming out this year. Hopefully, I'll have something within the first quarter. If it's not in the first quarter, it's definitely coming second quarter. But I'm pretty sure I'll get one done before the first quarter. The second quarter, I'll probably drop Overslept album. Things are moving. I'm excited about that. Also, like I said, I'm working on trying to move, so I know that's a big thing on my plate, trying to do that. So, yeah. Also, guys, before I forget, follow me on Twitter at SleepyJ. That's SLEEP_E_J. Follow me on Twitter, or follow me on Instagram at SleepyJ, SLEEPEJ. All one word. Follow me on there, please. Send me a message if you want to talk to me, whether it's on Twitter or Instagram. I'm always on there commenting, responding, doing things like that. If you guys are on Facebook, please hit the like button on my Sleep Talking Podcast page, also on the Sleepy J page. Find me on those. Please hit the likes on there. Leave some comments. Let me know you guys are paying attention and you are listening. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit that like, comment, or subscribe on the YouTube channel, Sleep Vision. Yeah, man, I'm out here working. It's kind of crazy. I've been sitting here thinking about it lately, like all the things I've been working on. I just kind of ended the year off really well, and I just didn't let that momentum stop. So I've been constantly on that grind. But with that being said, guys, let's just get into these news topics. I got a lot of things I got to cover. I did not listen to any new music this week, I don't think, so I'm not going to do any reviews. Sorry for anyone that's what you guys are checking in for. But let's see. What do we have on news topics? Where should I start? Let's start with Floyd Mayweather Jr. He pissed off the hip-hop and black community this week because he said he didn't give a shit about no boycotts. He was his own individual. He did what he wanted. He supports his own artists. He supports Dapper Dan, and he's still going to Gucci. Fuck what you heard. He doesn't care what anybody has to say about it, so he pissed everybody off. 50 being the troll that he is and that I love to follow on Instagram. He posted, like, since Floyd posted this long-ass post about how he was an independent person and he was doing what he wanted to do. 50 showed, like, a handwritten letter with bad grammar, bad spelling all through it, because if you don't know, Floyd Mayweather is supposedly he's illiterate. He has a hard time reading and things like that. So he showed the letter with all this bad grammar and spelling on there, which was fucking hilarious. Every time I see him do it or anybody make fun of Floyd for not being able to read, I think it's fucking funny. A lot of people probably find it offensive because, dyslexia and illiteracy is a problem, but it's not for me, so I will laugh at it because that's how the fuck I feel. And if you don't like it, then you heard the warning before the podcast started. If you're easily offended, please turn off now. But yeah, so Floyd pissed everybody off with that. T.I. had made a diss track talking to Floyd, talking shit on Floyd, calling him a clown and a coon and all this and that. I don't know, Floyd had somebody, a DJ responded to T.I. saying how it was all over Tiny. If you guys don't know, Tiny is T.I.'s wife. She was in a group. I think it was Escape was the group. And so he was basically saying that the beef isn't over the Gucci boycott. It's really over Tiny. Which, if you know, it's been a long time beef between the two of them. Supposedly, T.I. did run up on Floyd one time and did actually land a couple hits. Supposedly, I don't know. I never seen no footage. I don't think there was ever any footage released about it, but it was confirmed that he did run up on him and swing. So we'll just take T.I.'s word for it. But T.I. wound up responding, saying it wasn't over no Tiny. He basically said no disrespect will be tolerated. If I have a problem, I'll run up on you. Everyone knows that's how I do business. So that's what T.I. was all about. I thought it was kind of funny. Let's see here. And while we're still kind of talking about 50 Cent, 50 Cent has been in the news for apparently New York police officers actually want 50 Cent dead. So 50 Cent's been on this whole, like, I'm calling a lawyer. I'm trying to figure out what to do. He's been exploiting I think it was a chief of police in New York that said that he wanted 50 Cent shot on sight or something along those lines. I don't quote me verbatim, but you can look it up. It's been trending quite often lately. And 50 Cent has been very vocal about how he's taking it very serious. He's talking to lawyers. He's trying to get the guy fired. He's been posting pictures of him on his Instagram. He's been posting the news articles and all that. It is on record. It is a newspaper confirmed type thing. I don't know what is true about it and what's not, other than the fact that it's in the newspaper that this officer did say he wanted 50 Cent dead, and he's told his officers to kill him on sight, which is a very serious thing. And I actually, my personal take on it as somebody that has friends and family that are or have been in law enforcement, like, that's the type of shit that really makes it hard to stand up for officers. And I'm sure as if you're an officer and you hear shit like that, it sets you back a little bit, because if you're trying to be a good officer and do your job and you really want to serve and protect people, that's the type of shit you don't really want in your life to make it hard, your job harder. Because, every officer that fucks up, it represents like hundreds of thousands of officers that are doing things right. So I can only imagine that kind of a battle and the things that you got to go through in law enforcement for one person to fuck up or do something wrong really affects your job. It's not like you can go to McDonald's and that McDonald's might be the one that you avoid, but like when officers are fucking up, like whether it's one, even if it's just one officer that fucks up and it's like found out to be racist or found out to be just like really ignorant or a piece of shit of some sort, you just assume that all officers are. I think that's how groupthink happens. Like, you just automatically start saying, like, I don't like dealing with cops. They're assholes. They harass me. They do all these different things. Just because you've dealt with a few cops that do that type of thing. So I can only imagine that it makes their job a little bit more difficult. So I empathize with the officers on this, but I mean, nowadays officers are in the news all the time for doing, racist things, again, I know they're like, and in reality, I know for every bad news clipping of an officer doing something wrong, abusing somebody or doing something wrong, I know that there's 100, 1,000 different officers that had interacted with people that did not go that route. But, the news is blowing up certain situations, and that's what happened. So, hopefully that gets straightened out. Hopefully it's not as serious as it sounds. Let's talk about Tikashe. I think last week I mentioned him, in my opinion, about him snitching. This week, it's been released and been confirmed by his baby mama. And then also, if you want to look up the news or look up the court files, you can look up what's being said as far as for the Tikashe situation. I don't look up my own friends and family's information, so I'm not going to look up a celebrity shit. But apparently, in Tikashe's agreement that he's got going on, he has basically agreed to tell on everybody in his crew, the whole I think they're called Trey Six Bloods or whatever his gang is called. He pretty much agreed to admit to all his actions in the gang, and then also to help get as many of them locked up as possible. And in return, he will go. He will not do any time other than what he's doing right now. Like he's gonna get out, maybe do some protective custody or witness protection for a little bit, which I'm thinking, somebody was asking me about that. I'm thinking whenever they say he's going into witness protection, I'm thinking like while they're going through the court cases, like he's probably going to be in solitary confinement. If he gets a bond at some point, then he will be like under strict surveillance, like by the police, keeping him safe while he's telling on everybody and getting as many people locked up as possible. That's what I believe that means for him. I still think it's some bullshit because, again, in the way I won't say brought up, but in the mentality that I was raised around, that doesn't sound right. I don't mean the way I was raised around, but by the people that I grew up around and the people that did street stuff and things like that, my mind frame was always, if you are partaking in activities that could get you in trouble, you keep your mouth shut. And they were serious about it. I believe you should keep your mouth shut no matter what the consequences are, even if they don't. Like, you as a man, you should be a man of your word. That's the way I was raised. Be a man of your word. If you say you're going to do something, do it. If you're not going to do it, don't say you're going to do it. And so Tikashe running around being a super gangster, I think he should have kept his mouth shut because he was out there doing all the dumb shit with everybody else. That's my personal opinion. Wrong or right, that's the way I see it. That's the way I believe it. But, everybody is different. Not everybody's cut from the same cloth. Not everyone believes the same thing I believe in. And I can, chalk that up as all right. Now, my big story that I really want to get on, because I can't believe that it is true or that it is even a thing. And I probably should have done a little bit more research on it, but here it goes. Jussie Smollet, last week, I don't know if I mentioned it last week, but last week, a few weeks ago, he came out saying that he was jumped by two men wearing red Make America Great Again hats. And with those hats on, they tied a noose around his neck, threw bleach all over him, and it was a very unfortunate situation. And I was like, wow, I can't believe that people hate somebody that much, especially a man, just because he is gay or, that he's black, or whatever the case was. I can't believe that there's just that much hatred in the world that somebody would do something that horrible to an individual. And I was dumbfounded. I try to not think the world is as bad as it is. I try to give people benefit of the doubt. I try not to say that all white people are racist. I try not to say that there's all that many bigots out there and things like that. Even though I know there's a lot out there, I don't want to believe that there are that many people out there. And even with racism, I don't think people are overtly racist in America these days. I think the majority, most people aren't overtly racist. I think they are racist or have racist jokes and comments, not necessarily because they hate a race, but more out of ignorance. Like, people are ignorant to what is offensive to some people, or they don't necessarily think what they're saying is racist or wrong to be saying. So at least that's my take. Here in St. Louis, I don't believe most people are overtly racist. I think they're covertly racist. They don't mean to hurt people's feelings. I don't think they want to cause physical harm to anybody, but I do think they have some prejudiced thoughts and biases towards people over their race or skin color or wherever they come from. I just think and I think that's how most people are. I don't think they want to hurt anybody. I think they just have some prejudices that they don't realize can be hurtful or are wrong. But nonetheless, back to the Jussie situation. So that's what Jussie had came out and said. He went to the hospital, supposedly wore a noose for 45 minutes till the cops got there, all this and that. It was kind of crazy. But over the weekend, 2 guys were arrested. 2 black Nigerian men were arrested. Said that they were the ones to have jumped Jussie. And then it comes out. Then it comes out that one of the guys had worked on the set of Power. And supposedly Jussie wanted to kind of create some controversy so his character doesn't get wrote off of Empire. And then there's also another rumor that maybe this was like another lover that Jussie may have cheated on, and then like him and his friend jumped him. Which all I really wanted to go to with this, like, please tell me it's not true. I don't want to believe it, because when I heard it, like, when it broke over the weekend, all I kept thinking, like, if this is true, like, this is very damaging to real life victims. That's, I might have misworded it when I was talking to other people, but it's victims. Like when a victim who is not really victimized, meaning whether, somebody's lies about being raped, somebody lies about getting jumped or mugged or things like that. When somebody cries wolf, that everyone else is really saying there's a wolf out there, nobody believes them because 7 people, or just because one person kept lying and saying there's a wolf in the woods and that they never seen it, or they find out that they've been lying or joking. And then so that from that point on, nobody wants to believe anybody else that comes along and says, like, no, there really is a wolf out there. I feel like that's what this is. Like, Jussie just ruined victims that are going to be out there. And when they're not going to want to come forward because Jussie made it into a joke. And this is if this is true. Like, if he truly has paid somebody to jump him or, be part of the story, or if it was a scorned lover situation that really happened and he didn't want to just say, like, yeah, I got into a fight with another lover or something like that, then I think that this is a problem, and it really sets everybody back when you're trying to be progressive and trying to help people. I think, he should have just been truthful in what he was trying to do. But I mean, only time will tell on if it's true or not. If it is true that he paid these people or it was some sort of setup that did not really happen, then I feel like it's going to be bad for his career. And I personally like him on Empire. I personally like the music that he creates on the show. I just think it is a sad instance that's happening. And I really don't want that to be I don't want these rumors to be true as far as for it being a setup, or that he really paid somebody for this, or that it was a scorn lover. Not that I necessarily want it to really have been like 2 white guys jumped him, but I want it to be true that is the case, because that's what he said. And again, that would make his accusations true and not making him a liar. That's my personal take on it. But everybody, as soon as everything comes out right away, everyone's making quick decisions. I try to reserve my opinions as I learn new information. So I hope you guys do the same. But I'm gonna move on from there. Also this week, Monique made it onto the Steve Harvey show, and Steve Harvey and her were kind of talking about the Netflix situation. They talked about her and the Lee Daniels and Oprah and Tyler Perry. Is it Tyler Perry? Yeah, Tyler Perry situation, where she had basically told Tyler Perry, Oprah, and Lee Daniels, and I think Will Packer all to suck her dick on a stage show. And he was basically saying, like, this is the money game, not the integrity game. And even though we agree with what you're saying, you got to play the game if you want to make this money. And, people are kind of half and half. Like, I think a lot of people were saying that Steve Harvey was wrong for that. But I do think some people were like, no, he was telling her the truth. That's what you got to do. You got to play your part in the game if you want to be part of this game. And I don't really have an opinion on it. I do want to know if you guys think your integrity is worth more than money, or is money worth more than your integrity? Meaning, would you change your opinion on something or the way you act, your moral value, your moral compass for money? Like, and if you would, how much money is that worth? Like, is it worth $1 million, $100,000, $50, whatever? Like, I think that they do say that, everything has a price. So most people probably don't think that they have a price for anything, but I guess if your back's against the wall and you really are hungry, or you really need something to come through, and somebody's offering you money and you might have to do something strange for it, your integrity, your morals might be on the line, and you might be willing to take that. So let me know, leave me some comments, tweet me, message me. Like I said, let me know what you guys think, if how you guys feel about that. But moving on, Netflix canceled more Marvel shows. Jessica Jones hasn't released season 3 yet, but it came out today that Jessica Jones is being canceled. They're going to do season 3, and The Punisher was canceled after season 2. From what I did hear from the news nerd wires, they are saying that Netflix has the license for those shows for a few more years, so probably for another two or 3 years they're going to still have them. I don't know if they'll keep them forever as far as for licensing them onto their network, but it does mean that Marvel can't put them in movies or TV shows for at least 2 years. So we'll see how that comes about, how they work around it, if they buy those rights back or whatever the case is. But moving on, Trump. Let's get into this. So Trump did a speech recently, and he says that he's issuing a state of emergency so he can get the money for his wall. So if you're for the wall, happy for you. Well, I'm not happy for you, but lucky you, I guess. If you're for this wall, you're happy, you're excited that you're going to get this wall that I don't think serves any fucking purpose other than wasting money. It's kind of weird. In my lifetime, I heard so many things in history class. Things about the Berlin Wall, World Wars, and things like that. And then when you think about, you don't necessarily think about it, at least I don't, think about how much stuff is actually happening that is historical in life in my lifetime. Like, first black president is a historical thing that, I remember when we would joke and say there will never be a black president. We've had one now. I believe the Berlin Wall fell in the 80s. And, there's a lot of things. We've never had a terrorist attack on our land. And they say that we did with the Twin Towers, and a foreign terrorist attack, I think is what they say. That was the first one, only one that we've ever really had. I guess Pearl Harbor, but I don't think technically Hawaii was our land. I think it was just kind of a territory. It wasn't a state when it happened. It became a state after that. But that's a different history test. But yeah, so it's kind of interesting. You see things. We have a celebrity in office now that I didn't see that coming. I think most people didn't believe it was going to happen, and he wound up winning. So it's just interesting. You're seeing a lot of history being made every day. There was a time in my lifetime we didn't have the internet. There was a time that we had the internet, but we didn't. Not everyone had the internet. It wasn't on your phone. You weren't walking with these devices. People used to talk to each other. They weren't always taking videos for their Instagram, acting like they were happy. There wasn't so much depression like we have today. People didn't know they were depressed. I'll say that. There wasn't therapy, wasn't a thing. Parents, it wasn't uncommon in my lifetime to grow up with a single parent or things like that. I don't know. There's a lot of things. The world's always changing. It's kind of interesting whenever you really sit down and think about things and see how much things change in your lifetime. The other thing I want to say about Trump that I think is fucking hilarious is if you pay attention to his tweets, he's always crying about, you know, Saturday Night Live sketches. He's always saying how it's unfair, how he's always being mocked or joked about or things like that. He thinks that, you know, it's not fair that you do that to the president and that no other president's been treated this bad. But he obviously doesn't remember when George Bush was in office. Like, I don't know how many people made fun of how stupid George W. Bush was back in the early 2000s. I don't know how many people have made fun of what is her name? How many people made fun of Bill Clinton and his wife and his infidelities? I don't know how many jokes were made about Barack Obama, and I think it's even funnier that, like, Trump is crying about how he's being treated in the media, but it seems to have forgotten that he berated Obama over his he berated him over his citizenship and wanted to see his birth certificate and all these different things. And now that he's in office and he sees all the attack that he's getting, he's crying and saying it's wrong and it should be treated as a crime and there should be investigations and all these different things. But one of the things that I've always heard when I was going through my civics classes and government classes, that's one of the things that makes America great, that you can criticize the president, you can call him an idiot, you can make jokes, you can do all these things that you can't do in communist countries like in Cuba or in, I don't know, wherever there's communist countries, because I don't know any other ones other than Cuba right now. Oh, North Korea. You can't make fun of those leaders. You will end up dead. You will end up punished. You will end up in prison. And I think that is funny that Trump is so butthurt and cries so much about it. And yeah. So that is this week in Sleep Talking. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. Please leave me some comments. Please send me some messages on Twitter, on Instagram. Please, guys, I am asking, you know, let me know what you guys are liking, what you don't like. I will get back to doing more interviews soon. Like I said, hopefully this weekend I will get to have somebody else record with me, and we will still have an episode for you next Tuesday. With all that said, guys, please follow me on Twitter. That's at SleepyJ. That's SLEEP_E_J. Follow me on Instagram at SleepyJ. That's SLEEPEJ. All one word. And look me up on all the other things. Until next time, I'm sending you away with peace, love, positive light, vibes, thoughts, and prayers. I salute you guys. And until next time.